Pittsburgh and it's raining. Yeah, sitting in the subway here complaining about the girl who left me sad.
Hey, everybody. It is time for your Browns Friday Fumble.
Fall on it.
Don't try to pick it up and run. My name is Dave.
I'm Dylan.
And we are back.
Browns Friday Fumble, Season 3.
We are back. We are excited to talk about this week's opponent, Pittsburgh football.
Pittsburgh, the football coming out of the East.
You know what? Dylan and I planned on never doing this again. Last year was tough on us. We had planned on never doing it again. And then what do we get but a smack in the face from the
bigwigs. Let's just call them what they are, Dave. The bigwigs over at HBO.
You know what? You wouldn't expect this. This is the network that brought you Entourage and Ballers.
A respected franchise.
Yeah.
Well, the bigwigs at HBO decided that they wanted to do an inside look at the, guess who? Cleveland Browns.
The Cleveland Browns.
For a show they like to call School of Hard Knocks.
Yes. Well, guess what? Have you ever heard, Dylan, maybe, I don't know how much you listen to podcasts or anything like that. You ever heard of a different show that gave you inside access to the Cleveland Browns offices?
Scanning memory banks.
Yeah, remember the show that clued you into when Reggie Hodges was giving an impassioned speech to the rest of the special teams about you had to punt and kick a few times of practice to kind of look busy and stay sharp?
You know what? That does bring to mind a certain similarity.
Yeah. Maybe you would think about Ben Watson and his collection of rare seashells. Who does that remind you of?
Sounds a lot like crystals that we heard about with Devin.
Exactly. Hey, School of Hard Knocks. Remember 2012? Frosty Rucker? He gave his advice on his best ways to invest money, which in his view was Beanie Babies and Flues.
Which he obviously made a ton of money because he's not playing football anymore.
Yep. So maybe that sounds a bit like Carl Nassib? On your version of School of Hard Knocks?
If I'm drawing parallels on a graphing paper right now, I've got two lines that never intersect, Dave.
Yeah, those are parallel lines.
I remember on the Friday Fumble in 2006, you remember this?
Yes.
We reported that Orpheus Roy visited the Cleveland Zoo's rainforest and also got to hold and feed a chameleon.
Yeah.
Who does that remind you of?
Maybe a little Brogan Roback.
Oh, Broby?
Action. Some Broby action. Yeah. And it isn't just the players. I mean, people think we just talk about players. We talked about office people. We talked about assistant coaches. You saw the heated exchanges between Greg Williams and Todd Haley about, touching the quarterback.
Well, yeah, who missed it, right?
Yeah. Well, back in the olden days, Brian Daboll...
Yes, go on. I'm listening.
Rob Ryan, offensive defensive coordinators in 2009, had a very similar exchange, except Daboll was more concerned because he yelled, "Good teams don't touch my Snickers bar."
Who can argue with that?
No, it is
besides
true.
Rob Ryan.
Yeah. And Rob Ryan, was a defiant bastard in those days, said, "Hey, don't leave it out then."
Defiant bastard to the end.
Yeah, to the end.
Frankly, I'm disgusted. And honestly, Dave, I expected so much more from the network that gave such a dignified look behind the scenes of real Hollywood living through the eyes of Vincent Chase and Turtle.
Yeah. You know what? I'm more disappointed than Turtle was when he had to close down Limhos, the limo service staffed with attractive women that Turtle would sexually harass.
HBO once held themselves to a noble standard of integrity with these documentaries. Remember when they showed Johnny Drama's most trying times with, empathy, compassion? I just feel like we're being screwed by the network.
Yeah.
Exactly how Johnny lost his part on Five Towns after getting on the bad side of a network executive.
Yeah. Maybe if we got an apology from HBO, we'd be willing to move forward with this and let it go and hug it out like Ian Ari. But until then, I'm going to take the stance that Billy Walsh took and say, you know what, Suit? Stay out of my business.
So on to a little bit of Browns news. And you know where we get that news, Dave.
From www.clevelandbrowns.com.
You got it. The
most /news.
Trusted news authority on the web.
And
about
it's trusted
the Cleveland Browns.
Because in this era, let's face it.
It's a primary source.
It's a different era than it was when we were previously on the air. Things have changed. It's a brave new world. The era of fake news is everywhere.
Yeah.
So you can't trust anything unless you get it from www.clevelandbrowns.com.
And that's where we go, my friend.
Also, we do have some inside sources at the Browns.
A lot of them.
Which we can't reveal. But so if you might not see these stories on www.clevelandbrowns.com, that's because we get the inside
scoop
version.
We are breaking news here.
Yes.
First, on the wire this morning is another tussle centered on quarterback Drew Stanton, of course. This week's offense by Drew is that he snatched a Cuban sandwich right out of tight end Seth DeValve's lunch kit at around 10:23 a.m. between drop drills, despite having a literal RV full of Broganic-sourced snacks.
Yeah, and that's a little bit rough because, first of all, pulled pork, ham, mustard, and pickle at 10:23 a.m.
It's rough.
That's rough on your system. That's rough on your second morning practice. That's rough on everybody.
That's rough on Seth DeValve.
Yeah.
Who that treat.
Who, when he gets into lunch at noon, is all of a sudden supposed to just find something else.
Yeah. And, you know, Dave, if it ended there, but this is just the latest incident from Mr. Stanton.
Yeah.
And it comes right on the heels of last week's incident where multiple teammates witnessed Drew leaving the scene of a clogged bathroom in napping trailer number 11. In response to both incidents, when asked why he didn't just use the provided accommodations of the quarterback RV, Mr. Stanton refused to comment, stating instead that it was probably the dog or something.
Which is bullshit. Dogs can't even use a toilet, and if they did, they wouldn't use paper. So he didn't want to pump the RV. Everybody knows it. They showed it on School of Hard Knocks. He didn't want to pump the RV. You know what? Speaking of ill-gotten things around Berea, we were all shocked this past week. The release of former Super Bowl champion Michael Kendricks, linebacker, and apparent financial wizard, released by the Browns for insider trading. He was indicted by the FBI, the federal BI, for insider trading. And the Browns did not mess around with this. It was not an Antonio Callaway situation where they said... they were very quick to release him. You probably heard that at www.clevelandbrowns.com. What you did not learn is that he was released so he could be given a position at the request of the owner, Jimmy Haslam, at Pilot Flying J.
Mm-hmm. In other news, Director of Football Operations and good boy Moose Dog held a press conference earlier in the week announcing the 53-man roster. Quote, after smelling the scents of every training camp attendee's socks, the decisions were not easy and were strictly business in nature. After being asked if HBO's School of Hard Knocks had any impact on the roster moves, Moose Dog promptly threw up the bag of pitas he had found left inside Devin Kajus' locker.
Yeah, and those were old pitas. He brought those in week one.
Greg delivered them, hand-delivered them.
Yeah, and
week one.
Promptly had a heart attack. Okay, guys, it is time for the Browns roster checkup. Big turnover for the Browns this year. It's literally 2/3 of the roster is new. And some people, your brainiac types, like Craig, our boss, and Bodhi over at Waiting for Next Year, and other top football brains like that Jake Burns.
Like some Ivy League brass.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to put videos of what they're doing on the field. Yeah, great. Anyway, they say that it's because the previous Browns regime had put together a roster that lacked any sort of real impactful NFL talent. And, John Dorsey wanted to just blow things up, bring in real talent, and put his stamp on the team.
Right.
But once again, due to our inside sources,
the best.
We have the real scoop. The first reason why so many players are gone is day one of the first minicamp, John Dorsey demanded a loyalty oath from every player.
Not surprising. This guy is a real football guy. Demands that you kiss the ring when you come in. Number 2, we found out after some hard-nosed investigative reporting, Kyle Millen, director of scoreboard operations, you might recognize him from there, accidentally spilled his Diet Barks root beer all over most of the player contracts.
I'm not sure what they were doing in the same room together. But, Dylan, I know you know this. I don't know if our listeners know this. Mm-hmm. I am a root beer expert and aficionado.
Yes, absolutely.
If you had like a regular root beer, an A&W,
yep,
a Hires,
yep,
I'd even go as far as an IBC, that's not going to ruin a contract. But the bite that Barks has, that'll take ink right off of paper. You could practically use that to strip your wallpaper. It's got so much bite.
And for the remainder, John Dorsey just didn't like the look of him.
We haven't said this in a while, Dylan, but maybe we should
know your foe.
It is Pittsburgh football week.
Yes.
So let's take a look at this roster. Let's see if they've revamped some things. It appears that at the quarterback position, they have not revamped anything.
Unfortunately for
they
them,
are sticking with the same old dude.
That one guy.
That we won't even talk about.
At his backup, though, however, which we'll definitely
You'll
be
see.
seeing.
Yeah, we'll get a look at him.
Former CNN anchor Joshua Dobbs.
At left tackle, son of Browns defensive end Myles Garrett, Alejandro Villanueva.
At left guard, former WWE wrestler Razor Ramon Foster.
At backup right tackle, former Browns GM Zach Banner.
At wide out, longtime pass catcher Santonio Brown.
And on the other side, movie theater candy that is currently stuck in your teeth, Juju Smith-Schuster.
Let's switch on over to the other side of the ball, Dave. On the defense, you've got defensive tackle Cameron Hayward-Bay.
Former Cleveland Indians manager Javon Hargrove.
Lesser brother of J.J. Watt, T.J. Watt.
That's not even a joke. That's literally just the lesser brother of J.J. Watt.
Inventor of the stapler, John Bostich.
Former NFL cornerback Joe Hayden.
Hotel millionaire Mike Hilton.
And you might remember him from the Baba Booey crew, dirty joke specialist Artie Burns.
Now let's go on over to the special side, punter and unpopular Gatorade flavor Jordan Berry.
The kicker, site of Area 51, Chris Boswell, New Mexico.
Now, Dave, I know a lot has been mentioned about the Pittsburgh football running game headed into week 1.
There are some things that we really can't comment on as far as player contracts, holdouts, and the like, but there is one key factor that I think the Browns, for the sake of the human race, can't go too hard on this one Pittsburgh football running back.
Right, and of course, Dave, we're talking about James Conner, leader of the human resistance that was victorious in the war against the machines in the year 2029.
And to you, James Conner, we'll be back. All right, guys. You were probably expecting to hear some band music right now. We figured you guys would get really tired of Baker Mayfield watch. Frankly, the Oklahoma fight song sucks. So it's pretty well-worn territory. So we're changing it up, but we wanted to keep Baker Mayfield involved, even though he's probably, hopefully, knock on wood, clunk, clunk, he won't be playing a lot this year. He'll be learning, studying. But we wanted to get him in on the podcast, and we know he's got some free time because of that. And so we wanted to get with Baker and get some inside information about something to do with the opponent's city or something famous about the city or something like that. And so this is going to be called the Baker's Dozen.
Baker's Dozen, a very common trope.
So we're going to see 6 items on these lists because Baker Mayfield's number is 6. So this week, I'm going to do the honors on this one.
Please do.
We've got Baker Mayfield's bottom 6 Andy Warhol pieces. Coming in at number 6, the soup can. It's just a can of soup.
Number 5, the Marilyn Monroe. Ooh, she's 4 different colors. Big deal.
Coming in at number 4, the 3 Elvises. Guess what? I took 1 Elvis and added 2 more.
Number 3, it's a dumb banana. That's it. It's a banana.
A goddamn banana. Number 2, drawing of a bottle of Coke. Just a bottle of Coke. Hoping that art degree paid off there, Andy.
And your number 1, Baker Mayfield's Dirty Dozen. Still just a can of soup. There's a bunch of cans of soup. Great originality. Soup.
All right, guys. We've all seen, especially on the School of Hard Knocks, that Brogan Roback, the beloved Broby, as he was known, was cut from the Browns and then was not even added to the practice squad. He's left to pursue his fortune in quarterbacking, and we thought that here at the Browns Friday Fumble, we'd try to remember him by commemorating his finest moments in brown and orange. And while he didn't earn his stripe, he's earned a place in our hearts.
That's right, Dave. And tonight, we're going to start our Roback Throwback with a moment from August 30th of 2018. On this wonderful, clear night in late August, Brogan led the Browns' 4th string down the field and rifled a beautiful pass to Blake Jackson's arms for a touchdown. A precision strike that had the entire team excited. Great job, Brogan. We appreciate you.
All right. Keeping it short and sweet this week, guys. Too much to get into. To be involved with the actual game. And now it's time to make our predictions. It's time for why you listen to the podcast. So you can take these numbers, take them to Vegas, take them to Atlantic City, take them to Columbus, Cleveland, Dayton, Cincinnati, take them to any one of these casinos, put your hard-earned money down based on the expert knowledge that you're getting from us. And so it's really time to get our predictions for the game.
Put it all on the line here, Dave.
Yeah, I'd say got a college fund for your kid? You want to double it? How does that sound? How does it sound to take that money and double it? What do you think of that, Dylan?
I think that's a sure thing.
Yeah. So you need to march yourself to Atlantic City, march yourself to Las Vegas, any number of casinos, and you take... I would get it in cash first. I mean, they're not going to take a check.
Yeah, liquidate everything immediately.
And then you find out what the spread is, and then you roll with it. So I don't even know how the spread works, but I'm just going to tell you what's going to happen in the game, and then you're going to double your money.
Yeah.
Pretty sure.
I think the spread is like how many small bills you have.
Yeah, how much area that'll cover. It's something to do with where the ball lands on that wheel. Anyway, enough messing about, as the British would say. It's time for my prediction for this game.
Let me have it.
I predict big things out of the Browns this week.
Don't doubt it.
Got a big preseason finale win.
Sure of it.
We got a great sense of team.
Want it.
We got a great season of School of Hard Knocks.
I know all about it.
The Browns are primed.
I learned about it.
They've earned their stripes.
I know you know.
They're ready to go.
I'm ready.
Pittsburgh football, turns out they're short a few weapons this week. Santonio Brown might go off for 100 yards. That's just something, you know what? Who cares? He's going to get his. It's going to be great for the asshole fantasy owner in your league who picked up Santonio Brown, despite the fact that he plays for Pittsburgh football. But they're sticking to their 59-year-old quarterback. He's probably going to be broken in half on the second play of the game.
You know it.
By Myles Garrett. I think the Browns take this one 30-10.
You got it.
Take your money, walk to the casino, go to the front desk. That's the common mistake. Don't look for sports stuff. Front desk of the hotel. That's where to place the bet. And the guy or girl comes up to you. You say, "Hey, Jagoff, double this money. Browns, 30-10. Dylan, what about you?
Well, Dave, I spent all last year getting burned, quite frankly. I just got burned every single time. And you know what? I'm just not willing to put myself out there anymore. I made myself vulnerable too many times and got my hurt too close to call.
I respect that. So, you take your money, you walk up to the casino, and you tell them, this one's too close to call. All right, everybody. Thank you for listening to this week's Friday Fumble. We will be back next week to recap the Browns' victory over Pittsburgh football, discuss the Nolans Saints down in hot Orleans.
Don't forget to follow us at Friday Fumble on Twitter.
And if your name is Craig, you've probably not made it this far.